Disclaimer.
I hated Christians until I died and met their God.
My name is Jamal Hassan Muhammad. I am 31 years old. I died for 19 minutes on January 1, 2023 in Detroit, Michigan.
I was a devout Muslim. I prayed 5 times a day. I fasted during Ramadan. I read the Quran. Before I begin, please subscribe so more people can hear testimonies like this. I believed I was on a straight path, the only path that mattered. And I hated Christians. I really hated them. Every time I saw a cross, every time I heard someone say Jesus was God, something in me burned with anger. How could they be so blind? How could they worship a man? I would argue with them online, mock them at work, laugh at their beliefs. I told myself I was defending the truth. I told myself I was doing what Allah wanted. But there was something I never questioned, something I buried deep inside where my prayers could not reach it. Every year, on December 31st, I celebrated New Year. I went to parties. I drank alcohol, not a lot, but enough. I danced. I counted down. I posted pictures on social media with captions like, New Year, new blessings, alhamdulillah. I justified it. I told myself it was just cultural, just harmless fun, just something everyone did. I told myself it had nothing to do with my faith. But deep down, somewhere beneath the prayers and the pride, I felt it, a quiet unease, a whisper that said this was not right. That a man who prayed 5 times a day should not be celebrating something he never researched, something he never asked Allah about. I ignored that whisper. I buried it under excuses. I convinced myself that my intentions were pure, that Allah knew my heart, that it did not matter. I was wrong. December 31st, 2022, Detroit. The night was cold, but inside the club, the heat was suffocating. Bodies pressed together. Music pounded so loud I could feel in my chest. Lights flashed red, blue, green, blinding, and hypnotic. The air smelled like sweat and alcohol and cheap cologne. I was there with friends, people I grew up with, people who knew me as the guy who prayed but still knew how to have a good time. I wore my kufi earlier that day. I prayed Maghrib before I left the house. And then I walked into that club like there was no contradiction. 11:54 p.m., 6 minutes before midnight. I was near the DJ booth, dancing, laughing, a drink in my hand. My phone buzzed. A message from my younger brother. You at a club again? What happened to being a real Muslim? I read it. I felt a sting of guilt. Then I shoved my phone back in my pocket and kept dancing. The countdown was coming. Everyone around me was shouting, smiling, waiting for the moment when the clock struck 12 and everything supposedly started over. I took another sip. The music shifted. The beat dropped. And then pain. Sharp. Crushing. Like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed my heart with both hands. I gasped. My drink slipped from my fingers and shattered on the floor. I tried to grab the person next to me, but my legs gave out. I collapsed. My cheek hit the sticky club floor. Flashing lights above me. Feet stepping over me. Voices distant, muffled like I was underwater. Someone screamed, Yo, somebody call 911. He is not moving. But most people kept dancing. The music did not stop. The countdown continued. I could hear it faint, distorted. 10 on 8. I tried to breathe. Nothing. I tried to move. Nothing. My vision darkened at the edges. My chest felt heavy. So heavy. And then silence. Not the kind of silence where sound stops. The kind of silence where everything stops. My heartbeat. My breath. My life. The paramedics arrived 11 minutes later. By then, I was already gone. I felt myself lift. Not physically, spiritually. I rose above my body, slowly, like smoke pulling away from a candle. I looked down. There I was, lying on the floor, eyes open, staring at nothing. My mouth slightly parted. My kufi had fallen off. It lay a few inches from my head, trampled by someone's boot. People were finally gathering around me now. A woman was crying. A man was yelling into his phone. Another man was on his knees doing chest compressions, but his movements looked slow, useless, like he was pressing against a wall that would not move. I tried to scream. I am here. I am right here. But no sound came. My mouth moved, but there was no air, no voice, no connection between my spirit and the world I had just left. I was there, but I was not. The music still pounded. The bass vibrated through the air. People on the other side of the club were still dancing, still laughing, still counting down. They had no idea. I floated above them, weightless, invisible, helpless. I tried to reach for my body. My hand passed through it like water. Panic flooded me. This is not real. This cannot be real. Wake up. Wake up. But I did not wake up. The voices around me became distant, muffled, like I was sinking underwater. The flashing lights began to dim. The colors drained away. Red became gray. Blue became shadow. The faces of the people around me blurred into shapes, into nothing. And then I felt it. A pull. Not from above. From below. It started in my chest. A tug. Gentle at first. Then stronger. Then unstoppable. Like invisible hands had wrapped around my ribs and were dragging me down, down, down into something I could not see but could feel with every part of my being. I tried to resist. I tried to fight it, but it did not matter. My spirit was being pulled, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. The club disappeared. The people disappeared. The lights, the music, the noise, all of it faded into nothing. And I was surrounded by darkness. Thick, heavy, alive. It pressed against me from all sides, suffocating, crushing. I tried to pray. I whispered, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. But the words felt empty, hollow, like speaking into a void that swallowed sound before it could reach anywhere. The darkness thickened. And then I felt it. Heat, not fire, not flames, just heat, rising from below in slow, steady waves. It did not burn my skin. I had no skin, but I felt in my spirit. Oppressive, relentless, inescapable. The kind of heat that makes you want to run, but there is nowhere to run to. I heard a sound. Faint, distant, a scream, then another, layered, overlapping, some loud, some soft, some angry, some pleading, some resigned. Like they had been screaming for so long they forgot why they started. The sound did not come from one direction. It came from everywhere. Above, below, around, inside. My feet, or what felt like feet, touched ground. Solid, uneven. I looked down. The ground was cracked stone. Dark, scorched, radiating heat. Shadows moved across it, not cast by light, just moving, slowly, deliberately, like they had purpose, like they were alive. Smoke rose around me, thick, gray. It did not come from fire. It just existed, drifting, twisting. I tried to wave it away. My hand passed through it. It reformed, persistent, choking. I looked up. No sky, no ceiling, just darkness, endless, oppressive, and in the distance, faint glows. Red, orange, pulsing, rhythmic, like a heartbeat, like something breathing. I tried to move. My legs obeyed, but I did not know where to go. Every direction looked the same. Darkness, heat, smoke, shadows, screams. And then I realized I was not falling. I was being pulled. And deep inside, somewhere beneath the fear, beneath the panic, beneath the pride I had carried my entire life, something whispered, "This is where truth begins." I stood there. Or I thought I was standing. I had no body, no legs, no feet. But I felt grounded, anchored to something solid beneath me. The heat rose in waves, pressing against my chest, my face, my spirit. It did not burn. It did not blister. But it never stopped. It was constant, relentless. The kind of heat that makes you want to collapse, but you cannot collapse because there is nowhere to fall that is not already burning. The ground beneath me looked like stone. Dark, cracked, scorched. Like someone had taken a city street and heated it until it melted, then let it harden again. Veins of dull orange light pulsed beneath the surface, faint and rhythmic, like a heartbeat buried deep underground. I knelt down. I touched it. My hand, or what felt like my hand, passed through the surface slightly, like pressing into wet clay. When I pulled back, the stone rippled, reformed, and went still again. Flames rose in the distance. Silent flames. They did not crackle. They did not roar. They just existed. Tall, slow, moving like curtains in a breeze that did not exist. They burned without consuming anything. No wood, no fuel, just fire, rising from the ground, twisting upward into the darkness above, disappearing into nothing. The air was thick, heavy. It pressed down on me from all sides, like being underwater but without the water. Breathing was difficult, even though I had no lungs. I felt the weight of it in my spirit. Every inhale, if I could call it that, felt labored. Painful, like breathing through cloth soaked in smoke. Smoke. Yes, there was smoke. Gray, thick, rising from cracks in the ground, drifting through the air in slow, lazy spirals. It did not choke me. It just surrounded me. Persistent, inescapable. I waved my hand through it. It parted, then reformed, like it had a will of its own. I looked around. Shadows moved in the distance. Not cast by light, just moving. Slowly, deliberately. Some walked, some crawled, some stood still, hunched over, as if carrying something too heavy to bear. I could not see their faces. I did not want to, but I felt them, their presence, their pain, their regret, and the screams. God, the screams. They never stopped. Some were loud, sharp, desperate, like someone begging for help that would never come. Others were soft, muffled, like crying into a pillow. And some were silent. Not because the person had stopped screaming, but because they had been screaming so long their voice was gone. Those were the worst. The silent ones. You could feel them. You could feel the sound they could no longer make. I tried to move. My legs or whatever I had obeyed. I took a step, then another. But every direction looked the same. Darkness. Heat. Smoke. Shadows. There was no path. No exit. No sign that said this way out. Just endless, oppressive sameness. I felt alone. Completely alone. I could see other souls in the distance, but they were not together. They were isolated. Trapped in their own space, their own torment, their own regret. No one spoke to anyone else. No one reached out. Everyone was locked inside themselves. My mind raced. This cannot be hell. I prayed. I fasted. I followed Islam. I rejected Christianity. I did everything I was supposed to do. I was a good Muslim. I was. But even as I thought it, something inside me whispered, "Were you?" I tried to ignore it. I tried to pray. I whispered, "Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah." But the words felt empty. Hollow. Like shouting into a canyon and hearing no echo. Like the words left my mouth and died in the air before they could reach anywhere. I said them louder. Faster. Desperate. But nothing changed. The heat remained. The darkness remained. The screams remained. And then, I felt it. A presence. Not human. Not physical. But undeniable. Like the air itself had shifted. Like someone had entered the space around me. I froze. My breath, if I had breath, caught in my chest. I turned slowly. There was light. Not bright. Not blinding. But present. Soft. Steady. It did not come from a source. It just existed. And within the light, a figure. Tall. Solid. Neither fully visible nor invisible. I could see the outline. The shape. But the details shifted, like looking at something through water. The presence was calm. Still. But the weight of it pressed down on me like a mountain. I wanted to run. I wanted to hide. But my legs would not move. My spirit was frozen. The figure spoke. Not with a voice. Not with sound. But I heard it. In my mind. In my soul. Clear. Firm. Undeniable. Jamal. My name. It said my name. And hearing it. Hearing my name spoken in this place. Broke something inside me. I felt my knees. Not because I chose to. But because I could not stand anymore. Who are you? I whispered. The presence did not answer the question. Instead, it said something else. You believe you are here by mistake. I nodded. Tears, if spirits could cry, filled my eyes. Yes. Yes, I prayed. I fasted. I followed Islam. I rejected the Christians. I did everything right. Why am I here? The presence was silent for a moment. Then it spoke again. You followed culture. You adopted what you never questioned. You celebrated what God never commanded. I shook my head. No. I celebrated New Year. That is it. That is all. It was just a party. It was not worship. It was not. It was compromise. The word hit me like a blow. I looked up at the figure. The light around it did not waver. The presence did not move. But I felt its gaze, penetrating, seeing everything, every thought, every memory, every justification I had ever made. It was just cultural, I said, my voice breaking. Everyone does it. Muslims, Christians, everyone. It is just tradition. And where does tradition come from? I opened my mouth, closed it. I had no answer. The presence continued. You hated Christians for worshiping what they did not understand. But you celebrated what you never researched. You mocked them for following men. But you followed the crowd. You claimed to seek truth. But you buried truth when it made you uncomfortable. I felt my chest tighten. My hands trembled. I wanted to argue. I wanted to defend myself. But the words would not come. Because deep down, I knew it was true. The figure gestured, not with a hand, but I felt the motion, a shift in the air, a pulling back of something invisible. Look, it said, see the truth you refused to see. And then the darkness around me shifted. The air rippled. The oppressive heat receded slightly. And before me, a vision opened, like a curtain lifting on a stage, like a window appearing in the void. I saw its people, millions of people, standing in what looked like a massive arena, endless, stretching beyond sight. They were celebrating, laughing, dancing. Confetti fell from above. Champagne bottles popped. Fireworks exploded in brilliant colors. A giant digital countdown hovered above them. 10, 9, 8. I recognized faces. My friends, my family, people from my mosque, people I grew up with. Muslims, Christians, atheists, Hindus, Buddhists, everyone, all together, all celebrating. And then I looked up. Above them was not heaven. Above them was not light. Above them was a throne, dark, ancient, covered in symbols I had never seen before, but somehow recognized. Carvings of two faces looking in opposite directions. Chains, keys, doors, and the name carved across the top in letters that seemed to pulse with life. Janus. I whispered, What is that? The presence beside me spoke. The God of beginnings and endings. The God the Romans worshipped. The God your New Year celebration was created to honor. My breath stopped. No, that is not true. New Year is just a calendar change. It is not worship. Look closer. I did, and I saw them. Chains, invisible to the people below. Thin, translucent, but real, stretching from every person in the arena up to the throne. Connected, bound. And as they celebrated, as they laughed, as they counted down, something rose from them. Not physical, spiritual. Their joy, their energy, their focus. It rose like smoke, like incense, and it flowed straight into the throne. If you're still here, thank you. Please subscribe if you want more testimonies like this. I stagger back. They do not know. They do not see it. No, they do not, because they never asked. They adopted tradition without question. They followed culture without seeking God. They assumed good intentions made it acceptable. I saw a woman I knew, Aisha, a devout Muslim. She wore hijab. She prayed. She fasted. She was kind. And she was there, dancing, celebrating. Chains connected to her wrists, her ankles, her neck. She did not feel them. She did not see them. But they were there. She prays, I said weakly. She is a good person. And yet she celebrates what God never sanctioned. Goodness does not erase compromise. I saw a man I argue with online, a Christian. He posted Bible verses every day. He went to church. He preached about Jesus. And he was there too, chains wrapped around him, rising toward the same dark throne. He worships Jesus, I said, and yet he mixes that worship with paganism. He honors God with his lips, but his actions honor something else. The vision shifted. I saw the countdown reach 0. The crowd erupted, cheering, hugging, kissing, celebrating, and above them, the throne pulsed. Glowed, federal strengthened. The chains tightened, not enough to hurt, just enough to bind. The presence spoke again. This is the truth, Jamal. Every tradition has a root. This root leads here. Millions celebrate thinking it is harmless, thinking it is just fun, thinking God understands. But God does not honor what he never commanded. And when worship is mixed with what opposes him, it is no longer worship. It is compromise. And compromise always leads to separation. I fell to my knees again. My mind raced. My heart, if I had a heart, pounded. But I did not know. I did not. I thought it was just, you never asked. The words cut through me like a blade. Simple, direct, true. I never asked. I never researched. I never questioned. I just participated. Because everyone else did. Because it was normal. Because it was fun. The presence stepped closer. I felt its weight increase. The light around it brightened slightly, and for the first time, I felt not fear, but something else. Awe, reverence, dread. There is more, it said. Something worse. I looked up, my face wet with tears that should not exist. What could be worse than this? The vision shifted again. The arena faded. The celebrating crowds disappeared. The dark throne vanished. And then, I saw something else. Myself, standing in front of a mirror. But it was not a mirror. It was memory. Living memory. Playing out before me like a film I could not pause, could not stop, could not look away from. I saw myself 3 years ago. New Year's Eve. Same club. Different night. I was younger. Smiling. A drink in one hand. My phone in the other. I was posting on Instagram. The caption read, Alhamdulillah, for another year. New beginnings. New blessings. 2020 vision. I watched myself hit post. I watched myself laugh with my friends. I watched myself ignore the small voice inside that whispered, this is not right. The memory shifted. Another new year. Another party. I was arguing with a Christian coworker. He had asked me why I celebrated New Year if I was Muslim. I laughed at him. I said, it's just a party, man. Relax. It's not that deep. You Christians are so judgmental. I watched myself walk away. Confident. Dismissive. Proud. The memory shifted again. I was at home. Alone. Late at night. I had just finished Isha prayer. I sat on my prayer rug, scrolling through my phone. I saw an article. The pagan origins of New Year's celebration. I paused. My thumb hovered over the link. I felt something, a nudge, a whisper, a pull, telling me to read it. To learn. To understand. I watched myself scroll past it. I watched myself choose ignorance. I watched myself choose comfort over truth. The memory shifted again. I was at the mosque. After Jummah prayer, an older brother approached me. He said, Brother Jamal, I saw your pictures from New Year. Be careful. That celebration has roots you should research. I watched myself smile. Polite, but dismissive. I said, Jazakallah, brother. But I think you're being too strict. It's just cultural. Allah knows my heart. I watched the brother nod slowly, sadly, and walk away. And I realized he tried to warn me. And I rejected him. The memories came faster now, moment after moment, year after year. Every time I justified it. Every time I dismissed the warnings. Every time I chose the crowd over the quiet voice inside me. Every time I said, it's not that deep. Every time I said, everyone does it. Every time I said, Allah knows my heart. And then, I saw the worst one. I was on Twitter, arguing with a Christian woman. She had posted something about avoiding pagan traditions. I quote tweeted her. I wrote, Christians are so obsessed with pagan this, pagan that. Y'all worship a man and call it monotheism. Worry about your own shirk before you come for New Year parties. I watched myself hit tweet. I watched the likes roll in. I watched my followers congratulate me for destroying her. I watched myself feel proud. And now, standing here, I felt nothing but shame. The presence spoke. You hated Christians, not because they were wrong, but because their faith challenged your pride. You mocked them, not because you sought truth, but because you feared what truth might require of you. I cover my face with my hands. I was wrong. I was so wrong. You saw the splinter in their eye, but ignored the beam in your own. I nodded. I cannot argue. I cannot defend myself. Every excuse I had ever made crumbled. Every justification turned to dust. The vision shifted one last time. I saw myself, not in memory, but in truth. The real me, the spiritual me, stripped of pretense, stripped of pride, stripped of the mask I wore for others. I saw a man who prayed 5 times a day, but lived for the approval of people. I saw a man who read the Quran, but never let it change him. I saw a man who claimed to follow Allah, but followed culture whenever it was convenient. I saw a man who hated Christians, not because they were wrong, but because he was insecure. I saw a man who celebrated traditions he never questioned, because questioning required courage he did not have. I saw myself, and I was not who I thought I was. The presence spoke again, its voice softer now, not cruel, but firm, like a father confronting a son he still loves but cannot excuse. You were becoming what you refused to change. Those words broke me, completely, utterly. I collapsed onto the scorched ground. I wept, not with tears, but with something deeper, a weeping of the soul, a mourning for the man I could have been, the man I should have been, the man I was not. I was a hypocrite, I whispered. Yes. I judged others while ignoring my own sin. Yes. I thought I was better than Christians, but I was doing the same thing they were doing. I was mixing truth with lies. I was compromising. I was lost. The presence was silent, letting me process, letting me break. I looked up, my face twisted in anguish. Why are you showing me this? Why are you doing this to me? The figure leaned down, and for the first time, I felt something unexpected. Compassion, because you need to see the truth, not to destroy you, but to rebuild you. I shook my head. I do not understand. You will. I wiped my face, my voice trembling. Who are you? Please, tell me. Who are you? The light around the figure brightened, not blinding, but clear, undeniable. The outline became sharper. The presence became more. I saw the shape of a face. I saw eyes, kind, piercing, filled with love and sorrow and justice all at once. The voice spoke, clear, final. I am the one you rejected. I am the one you mocked. I am the one Christians worship. I am the one Muslims deny. My breath caught. I am Jesus. The name hit me like thunder. I recoiled, stumbled backward. No, no, that is you cannot be. But even as I said it, I knew. I knew it was true. The presence, the authority, the love, the judgment. It was him, the one I had spent years dismissing. The one I had called a prophet, but refused to call God. The one I had mocked Christians for worshiping. He was real, and he was here. I felt in my face, not in worship, not yet, but in shock, in terror, in awe. You are real. I am. But I rejected you. I hated your followers. I said you were just a prophet. I said, I know what you said. I looked up at him, tears streaming. Then why am I here? Why are you talking to me? Why did you show me all of this? Jesus knelt beside me, his presence overwhelming but not crushing. He spoke, because your time is not finished. You will return, and you will tell them. Tell them what? The truth. The truth you refuse to hear. The truth that will save those who listen. I shook my head. I do not. I cannot. You will. Because if you do not, millions will follow the same path you walked. Muslims, Christians, everyone. They will celebrate what I never commanded. They will mix truth with lies. They will call it harmless. And they will end up here. He stood. The light around him intensified. You mock my followers, but you will become one. You hated my name, but you will carry it. You rejected my truth, but you will speak it. Before I could respond, before I could ask another question, the ground beneath me trembled, and the light began to grow. The ground beneath me trembled, not like an earthquake, like something breaking, like the foundation of this place was cracking apart. The heat that had pressed against me for what felt like hours suddenly began to recede. Not slowly, fast, like someone had opened a door and let cold air rush in. I looked up at Jesus. His face, I could see it now, clearer than before. His eyes were filled with something I could not name. Not pity, not anger, something deeper, something that saw every part of me, the good, the bad, the broken, and still chose to reach for me. He extended his hand. Come, he said. I reached for him. My hand, trembling, weak, barely able to move, stretched toward his. And the moment our hands touched, everything changed. Light exploded around us. Not warm, not gentle, violent, forceful, like a dam breaking, like the sun being born. It tore through the darkness behind me, ripping it apart like paper. The shadows that had moved so slowly, so deliberately, scattered. The flames that had burned silently flickered and died. The screams, the endless, layered screams, faded. First distant, then gone. I felt myself being pulled. Upward, not gently, with force, like a rope tied around my chest, yanking me from the bottom of the ocean. My spirit lurched. The scorched ground beneath me disappeared. The oppressive air thinned. The smoke cleared, and I was rising. Faster than I could process. The chains. I had not seen them before, but I felt them now, invisible chains that had wrapped around my wrists, my ankles, my neck shattered. One by one. Crack, crack, crack. Each one breaking with a sound that echoed through my soul. I gasped, not with lungs, but with my spirit. A release. A freedom I had never known. Jesus held my hand. His grip was strong, steady, unshakable. And as we rose, he spoke. Your time is not finished, Jamal. I could barely think, barely process. What do you mean? You will return. You will tell them. Tell them what? The truth. The truth I showed you. The truth they refused to hear. We were moving faster now. The darkness was far below us. Fading, shrinking, becoming a distant memory. Light surrounded us. Not the oppressive light of interrogation. The light of dawn, of hope, of life. Jesus continued, his voice firm but filled with urgency. Tell the Muslims. Tell the Christians. Tell everyone who will listen. Time is shorter than they think. The world is celebrating what I never commanded. They are walking paths that lead to separation. Warn them. Beg them. Plead with them. Do not let them fall into the same deception that brought you here. Tears streamed down my face if I had a face. But they will not believe me. They will reject me. They will call me a liar. I know. They rejected me too. But you will speak anyway, because some will listen. And those who listen will be saved. The light grew brighter. Blinding now. I cannot see anything. Only white. Pure. Overwhelming. And then a sensation. A pulling. Different from before. Not upward. Forward. Like being sucked through a tunnel. Like being shot from a cannon. My spirit twisted, turned, compressed. And then, impact. My chest exploded with pain. Searing. Burning. Like someone had stabbed me with a hot iron. Air rushed into my lungs with violent force. I gasped, choked, coughed. My body convulsed. My back arched. Every nerve screamed. I heard voices. Loud. Urgent. Overlapping. He's back. He's back. Stay with us. Can you hear me? Check his pulse. BP ishruizing. He's stabilizing. I try to open my eyes. The light was blinding. Harsh. White. Fluorescent. My eyelids felt like they weighed 1,000 pounds. I forced them open, squinting. Shapes moved above me, blurry, shifting, slowly coming into focus. Faces. 3, no, for people, wearing blue uniforms. Paramedics. They were leaning over me. One had his hands on my chest. Another was adjusting something on my arm. A third was holding a mask over my face. Oxygen. I could feel it. Cold. Rushing into my nose and mouth. Sir, can you hear me? What's your name? I tried to speak. My throat was raw, dry, like sandpaper. I coughed again, gasped, managed to whisper. Jamal. Good. That's good. Stay with us, Jamal. You're okay. You're going to be okay. But I was not okay. My chest hurt. My head throbbed. My entire body felt heavy, foreign, like I was wearing a suit that did not fit. I looked around. I was in the back of an ambulance. The doors were closed. The vehicle was moving. Fast. Siren wailing. Red and blue lights flashing against the metal walls. I tried to sit up. Hands pushed me back down. No, no, no. Stay still. You need to stay still. What? What happened? I whispered. You collapsed at a club. You've been gone for 19 minutes. Your heart stopped. But you're back now. Just breathe. Focus on breathing. 19 minutes. I had been dead for 19 minutes. but it felt like hours, days, an eternity. I turned my head, looked at the paramedic closest to me. A black man, maybe in his 40s. Kind eyes, tired eyes. He was checking my pulse, writing something on a clipboard. I whispered again, stronger this time. Jesus. Jesus saved me. The paramedic looked up, confused. He nodded slowly. Sure, man. Just stay calm. We're almost at the hospital. He did not understand. He could not understand. How could he? How could anyone? I looked down at my hands. My real hands. Flesh. Bone. Blood. They were shaking, trembling. I could feel the 4-needle on my left arm. Cold saline dripping into my veins. I could feel the oxygen mask pressing against my face. I could feel the weight of my body against the stretcher. I was back. I was alive. But everything had changed. The ambulance turned sharply. I heard the paramedic in the front shout, 2 minutes out. The man beside me squeezed my shoulder. Hang in there, Jamal. You're doing great. But I was not doing great. I was terrified, overwhelmed. My mind raced with images I could not unsee. The flames, the chains, the throne, the millions of people celebrating, unaware they were bound. The face of Jesus, his words, his warning. You will tell them. The ambulance stopped. The back doors flew open. Cold January air rushed in. I gasped. It felt like knives against my skin. Hands grabbed the stretcher. Pull me out. I was moving again, being wheeled through automatic doors. Bright lights overhead. White walls. The smell of disinfectant. Voices shouting medical terms I did not understand. 31-year-old male. Cardiac arrest. Down for 19 minutes. Revived in the field. Vitals stable, but weak. Get him to trauma 2. Now, I was rolled into a room. More people surrounded me. Doctors. Nurses. More machines. Beeping. Flashing. Someone cut my shirt open. Cold gel on my chest. Electrodes attached. A screen above me showed lines. Jagged. Rhythmic. My heartbeat. A doctor leaned over me. A woman. Indian. Maybe. Or Pakistani. She shone a light in my eyes. Jamal? Can you hear me? Do you know where you are? I nodded weakly. Good. You're at Detroit Receiving Hospital. You had a cardiac event, but you're stable now. We're going to take care of you. Just stay calm. I wanted to tell her. I wanted to tell all of them. About what I saw. About where I went. About the warning. But my voice would not come. My throat closed. Tears filled my eyes. And all I could do was lie there, alive but forever changed. 3 weeks later, I walked out of Detroit Receiving Hospital. Alone. My family had visited once. My mother. My younger brother, Kareem. They sat beside my bed, silent, uncomfortable. When I told them what happened, when I told them I saw Jesus, my mother stood up and left. She did not say goodbye. Kareem stayed a few minutes longer. He whispered, "You hit your head, man. You're confused. You'll be okay." Then he left too. I was not confused. I was awake for the first time in my life. The first thing I did when I got home was delete my social media accounts. Not deactivate. Delete. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, gone. Every picture of me at New Year's parties. Every post where I mocked Christians. Every caption where I mixed Islamic phrases with worldly celebrations. I could not look at them anymore. They made me sick. The second thing I did was research. I sat at my laptop for hours. Days. I typed. New Year origins. January 1st history. Janus Roman god. And what I found destroyed me. January 1st was chosen to honor Janus, the Roman god of beginnings and endings, of gates and transitions, of doors and thresholds. He was depicted with 2 faces, one looking forward, one looking back. The Romans celebrated him every new year with feasts, sacrifices, and rituals. When the Gregorian calendar was adopted, January 1st became the official start of the year. Not because of anything biblical, not because of anything divine, but because of a pagan tradition that survived through the centuries. I read about how early Christians refused to celebrate it. How church fathers warned against adopting pagan festivals. How, over time, culture overtook conviction. How millions of believers, Muslim and Christian alike, adopted it without question. Because everyone else did it. Because it was normal. Because it was fun. I sat back in my chair, my hands shaking. I celebrated the worship of a false god for years, and I called it harmless. The third thing I did was the hardest. I left Islam, not out of anger, not out of rebellion, but because I had seen the truth. I spent months praying, reading, studying. I read the Quran and the Bible side by side. I asked questions I had never allowed myself to ask before. And slowly, painfully, I realized Jesus was not just a prophet. He was who he said he was, the Son of God, the Savior. The truth I had rejected my entire life. On April 15th, 2023, I was baptized at Greater Grace Temple in Detroit, a small church, mostly black congregation. The pastor, an older man named Reverend Williams, prayed over me before I went under the water. He said, "Brother Jamal, you have been bought with a price. Walk in that freedom." When I came up out of the water, I wept. Not because I was sad, because I was free. But freedom came with a cost. My family disowned me. My mother told me I was no longer her son. My father refused to speak to me. My siblings blocked my number. My friends, the ones I grew up with, prayed with, fasted with, called me a traitor, a deceiver, a man who sold his soul for the white man's religion. I lost my job. I worked at a shipping warehouse on the east side. When my manager found out I converted, he said it was creating tension with other Muslim employees. I was let go 2 weeks later. I lost everything. My family, my friends, my job, my community, the mosque I attended for over a decade. I walked past it one day and saw brothers I knew standing outside. They saw me, turned their backs, walked inside. The door closed. I stood there on the sidewalk, alone. But I was not alone. The people I once hated, the Christians I mocked, dismissed, argued with became my family. They fed me when I had no money. They prayed for me when I had no hope. They loved me when I had no one else. I started sharing my testimony, first at Reverend Williams' church, then at other churches, small groups, youth meetings. I posted videos online. Some went viral. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. Half of them called me a liar. The other half thanked me for opening their eyes. I reached out to Muslims. I reached out to Christians. I reached out to anyone who would listen. I told them, research your traditions. Do not follow culture blindly. Do not celebrate what God never commanded. Do not mix truth with paganism and call harmless. Some listened. Most did not. But I kept speaking because Jesus told me to, because I had seen what happens when people do not. I could not live the same way again. I could not pretend I did not know. I could not go back to the man I was. That man died on January 1st, 2023. And the man who came back was different. If you are hearing this, it is for a reason. This testimony found you. That is not an accident. Maybe you celebrate New Year. Maybe you justify it the same way I did. Maybe you tell yourself it is just cultural, just harmless, just fun. But I am telling you, as someone who died, who saw the other side, who stood in that place, it is not harmless. Every tradition has spiritual roots, and this one leads to separation from God. I am not asking you to believe me because I am special. I am asking you to research it yourself. Look up the origins. Ask God if He approves. Do not assume good intentions justify compromise. They do not. Examine your heart today. Ask yourself, am I following God, or am I following the crowd? Am I seeking truth, or am I seeking comfort? Do not wait until you face Him to realize you followed tradition instead of truth. Because when that moment comes, there are no second chances. I almost waited too long. Do not make my mistake. I died for 19 minutes, and what I saw was not a dream. It was not a hallucination. It was a revelation, and that revelation changed everything. Turn back. Choose life. Choose the truth before it is too late. Tell me where you're watching from. I want to pray for you tonight. Leave a comment. Let me know you heard this. Stay connected. There are more warnings people need to hear. Thank you for listening. Subscribe and watch the next testimony on your screen. Do not ignore the warning, because when your time comes, there are no second chances.